Welcome everyone, we're so glad you made the choice to watch our show this evening and joining us for another episode of the Your Life Matters Show podcast with your hosts Steve Hodgson and Dr. Eric L. Davis. We ask that you please note that the information presented in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is essential to consult with a qualified healthcare professional for any medical concerns, diagnosis, or treatment. This podcast is not a substitute for professional medical advice, and any actions taken based on the information presented are at your own risk. We are so glad you made the choice to watch our show this evening and join us for a brand new episode of the Your Life Matters Show podcast. Let's watch what this evening's podcast is all about. Have you ever laughed at an inappropriate time or place, maybe at a funeral, maybe at church? Ever laughed so hard liquid squirted out your nose while drinking? They say laughter is the best medicine. But what if it's more than that? What if laughter is one of the most powerful tools for mental health that we've been overlooking? In tonight's episode of the Your Life Matters Show podcast, we explore how laughter affects the brain, improves emotional well-being, and helps us heal, even through life's hardest moments. According to a 2024 report from the American Psychological Association, laughter reduces cortisol and adrenaline, the body's primary stress hormones, by up to 39% after just 15 minutes of exposure to humorous content. This helps the amygdala, the brain's fear center, to calm down, leading to improved emotional regulation. Laughter triggers the release of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, all associated with elevated mood and reduced depression. Research found that laughter therapy reduced depression symptoms by an average of 32% in adults over a 6-week period. Studies using fMRI scans have shown that genuine laughter activates multiple areas of the brain simultaneously, including the prefrontal cortex, decision-making, temporal lobes, language processing, and motor cortex, physical response. This enhances neural connectivity, boosting creativity, memory, and problem-solving. A Harvard study on social bonding and resilience found that shared laughter in groups increases pain tolerance by 10% and boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Participants in group laughter sessions reported feeling 25% less anxious and more socially supported. Watching comedy before bed has been linked to improved sleep quality, with a 2023 study showing a 35% decrease in insomnia symptoms after a week of 30-minute nightly laughter exposure. Laughter also enhances immune response by increasing natural killer cells and antibodies, as noted by the Mayo Clinic. Laughter is a powerful tool for improving mental well-being, offering numerous short-term and long-term benefits. Tonight, our hosts will delve deep into laughter. The benefits are amazing. Plus, they will also speak with a comedian, who we are sure will add some needed relief to the discussion. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and let's learn why it is important to laugh. It's one of our most joyful and eye-opening episodes yet, because joy isn't just a moment, it's a mindset. Here are your hosts.
Yeah, man, I miss bands. What happened to just rock bands? Are they ever coming back? Never? What do we have? Korean boy bands? And Imagine Dragons, that's it. We got... And Imagine, they're good. They're running out of ideas. Oh, thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and a thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and a thunder, thunder, thunder. Not a song, it's a weather report, man. I always wanted to have like a rock and roll dad, you know, like a... My dad's like, and I always wanted a son, so... You know that Darius Rucker would take his guitar into the nursery, sing his kids to sleep. They fell asleep to Hootie and the Blowfish, man. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I know what you are. Up above the world so high it almost makes me cry. But I cannot have a drink until you fall asleep. Yeah, man. My grandpa taught me to play the guitar on a banjo. I learned on a banjo. He'd always go, modern music should have more banjo. We should, yeah, Grandpa. Then everything could sound like a square dance. Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? You're 1,000 miles away, but your mouth, it looks so pretty, yes it do. spin your partner around a time or two. No, she do. Oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, wink, 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 gonna take you home with me. Oh, banter. Thank you, one person. Sure, I'll take that. Yeah, man. I feel like a lot of singers, they just get so carried away, you know, especially when they have like a new relationship. I was listening to this song. I would catch a grenade for you, throw my hand on a blade for you. Really? Where you live, Croatia? You James Bond? Oh, how about this one here? I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more. He would walk 1,000 miles. You know what might impress her? Airfare, like a man. You guys 30 years? Yeah, I want to hear like what he's willing to do after 30 years of marriage. I would hold your purse while you try on new clothes, so long as it's only one store.
Well, howdy, and welcome back to another new episode of the Your Life Matters Show podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hodgson, and I'm here with my knowledgeable and charming co-host, Dr. Eric L. Davis. Dr. Davis, thank you for being here again. Today, it's such a great day, and we've got such a great topic today, which is
thank you
laughter.
so much.
Yeah. I mean, come on, and I got to say, we have a very special guest that's going to be joining the show that will bring the show in a whole nother direction by the time we're done today. But I think people really need laughter. Let's put it that way. Yeah. At taping today, we heard yesterday of the passing of Ozzy Osbourne. And of course, that brought sadness so much, across so many people. And, almost all you saw all over social media and like even on YouTube were all these videos about him. But I found myself personally getting so sad that I switched back to some of the comedy stuff that I like to watch. Things that make me laugh, and it makes you feel a lot better, and especially before you go to bed. As we'll talk about, you really don't want to go to bed feeling sad. So today we're going to dive into something we all need a lot more of, which is laughter. In a world filled with stress, anxiety, constant pressure, laughter might be just the best medicine that the doctors are not prescribing enough of. And science is finally catching up with what we've known deep down all along, that a good laugh doesn't just lighten the mood. It can heal the brain, ease emotional pain, and strengthen the body. The recent research shows that laughter can lower cortisol levels, reduce depression, improve brain function, and even help us sleep better at night. And it's not just about cracking jokes, it's about connection, community, and resilience. Hey guys, I'd like to pause the show a moment and welcome our newest sponsor, Waypost Counseling. Now, Waypost services are available to anyone in the continental United States via teleconferencing. At the Your Life Matters Show podcast, we are proud to have them on board as one of our sponsors. So I ask that you sit back a moment and that you watch this quick video about their services.
Let's be real, life can feel overwhelming. Sometimes we lose our direction. And in those moments, reaching out for help isn't weakness, it's strength. One of the most powerful things we can do for our mental health is simply to stop and ask for help. Well, look no further. Let me tell you about Waypost Counseling in Indianapolis, Indiana. Waypost was co-founded by Dr. Eric L. Davis and licensed therapist Aaron Davis. They started Waypost Counseling in 2020 because they wanted to create more than just a therapy practice. They wanted a place that truly walks alongside people through life's hardest seasons. And they offer more than just individual therapy. They provide individual and couples therapy, problem gambling treatment, and consulting services as well. They work with adults navigating everything from ADHD to grief, addiction to life transitions. Every journey is different, but our goal is always the same: to help people pause, reflect, and realign with where they want to go. It's actually where their name, Waypost, comes from. A marker on the path, something to help guide your next steps. And for anyone listening who's been thinking, I don't know where to start, this might be the moment. Therapy doesn't have to be intimidating. At Waypost, you'll find honesty, warmth, and a practical approach to real change. They're here to help you find direction and walk with you every step of the way. Whether you are in Indiana or anywhere in the United States, help is just a phone call away. They treat clients in person or using video conferencing directly from your home. If you're ready to start that journey, visit waypostcounseling.com or call Dr. Eric L. Davis at 317-762-0904 or therapist Aaron Davis at 317-659-0179 and take the first step. Waypost Counseling is proudly certified by the Indiana FSSA Division of Mental Health and Addiction and the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Abuse. That's waypostcounseling.com. Your next chapter starts here.
Now, later in the show, we'll even hear from a special guest named Jason Love. He's an established comedian who knows firsthand how humor can be both coping mechanisms and a superpower. So whether it's a giggle, a chuckle, or a full belly laugh, this episode is your reminder that joy is not just a luxury, it's a lifeline. So let's get started. I got a little joke I want to start off with. These two co-hosts walk into a podcast and, well, now I think I'm just going to leave the jokes to Jason for later on. But so, Dr. Davis, from a clinical standpoint, what happens in the brain when we laugh?
So medically, laughter affects multiple parts of the brain. It affects the prefrontal cortex, which helps us understand what the joke means and why it's funny. The limbic system, which processes how we feel, or whether something's funny to us or not. And the motor cortex, which actually controls the physical act of laughing. So chemically in the brain, basically what's happening is the brain is releasing dopamine along with endorphins and serotonin, and that makes us feel good, So it also reduces stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, like you were saying earlier. But that's what happens. It's basically a chemical release that makes us feel good.
Well, it's funny because you said there the frontal cortex hears the joke and understands it. I'm sure Jason will tell you that sometimes there's a long delay between the time he tells a punchline and the people actually get it. Sometimes there's a couple of seconds there where they have to think about it. So, it makes you wonder what's going on in the person's brain at that point. So let me ask you, can you use laughter as a tool in therapy or a mental health treatment?
Absolutely. I mean, it is an indisposable tool. Like laughter can, just like in any tense situation, where sometimes just a little bit of humor can actually go a long way. Here's an interesting fact, and here's nerd Eric Davis telling you some random fact. Shaquille O'Neal's dissertation at Barry University was on the use of humor in business. So anyway, I think that's his doctor of education. So I think that obviously it has benefits, but in therapy it can really help to help a client zoom out, is a way of saying it, where when we go into some pretty, for lack of a better term, scary or sensitive areas of the psyche in therapy, that's what we're working on. And sometimes having a little bit of humor, can kind of cut some of that. Or we also employ humor, in a lot of the helping professions, and we like what gallows humor, where it's like you have to find humor in things that may even typically not be funny, but it's a survival skill because it makes it possible for us to continue on doing the work that we do without just crying ourselves to sleep every night,
It's strange because we, I'm thinking of the song lyric, I'm the kind of guy that laughs at a funeral. I mean, I have few stories I can tell you about that, of laughing at funerals. And, it's a stress relief, I know, for a lot of people. Even when I used to do interviews, when I used to conduct interviews, I should say, to employees, I found if you make them relaxed, you learn more about the applicant because there are
Yeah.
a lot of questions you couldn't ask, legally in an interview. But
Hmm.
if they offer it, they offer it. I
Yeah.
didn't ask them that, they just got so relaxed that they just opened up and they start talking to you. So it is a good tool, but I think just in general too, it's actually good just to laugh. I'm one that
Yeah.
just enjoys laughing. If anyone's seen my Facebook, they know I just like to laugh. Okay, that's mostly what I post. It's just little memes and jokes. So, um, now let me ask you: is there a difference between genuine laughter or that forced laughter in terms of mental health benefits?
So yes and no. So yes, in that there's two types of laughter. There's genuine laughter, what we'd call like spontaneous laughter or deep belly laughter. And that has stronger or more immediate benefits, but even forced laughter, and I always think of that nervous laughter, when I don't know if you're, in a courtroom or something, with a judge, which, it's like, you have to maintain decorum and all that. And, the judge may say something that's sort of humorous, but not, like, boy, I wish they'd have done that back in my day. And everybody's like, it's kind of forced, that
Hmm.
everybody didn't find it that funny, but the body doesn't know the difference between spontaneous laughter and force. So if we can make ourselves laugh, we're still going to, get the benefits of the endorphins released and so forth.
I was just gonna say it would still release the endorphins,
Yeah.
even if it was a nervous type laugh. That's
Yeah.
interesting to know. I bet most people didn't know that
Mhm.
because I definitely didn't. Um, so how about people with conditions like anxiety? We've done so many shows on PTSD and depression. Can it help laughter help those people as well?
It- Absolutely, because laughter breaks catastrophic thinking. A lot of what we do in therapy, in cognitive behavioral therapy, especially, is we're talking about, thoughts and behaviors and then actions, like my actions that I take based on those thoughts. So with someone with PTSD or an anxiety disorder or something, if there's catastrophic thinking, that laughter can actually break that and kind of help, like I was saying earlier, help them zoom out. Um, Humor is a very effective tool. It has to be used correctly. There's right and wrong ways to use humor, but when you use it right, I mean, it can really help someone to feel at ease, to feel better. I mean, it's laughter. It really is a the best medicine, I think. And
If
that's
you
not
really
medical
want,
advice.
if you really want to see, there are interesting videos on YouTube of laughing at inappropriate moments.
Yeah, if you laugh,
And
you lose.
well, no,
Yeah, like that.
no, not that. There were times that I mean, the one that stands out just in my head that I think I laughed for like 20 minutes when I watched it the very first time. Well, even think, well, let me, before that one, think about, I don't know if you've ever seen the video of the guy in Pigeon Forge, the grandpa that was at the show and where the guy, like, you know, bops them off the top of the head. They're supposed to like make believe they're singing, but this old gentleman had a laugh like and could not stop laughing. And he had everybody in tears. Okay. And I can still go back today and watch that again, and I would still laugh at it because it's just one of those contagious things of laughing so much that, it's very easy for people, you know, luckily for us, I mean, we have the power of editing.
Yeah.
So if something like that were to happen on a show, we could edit it out. But I remember the clip that I was going to say was the interviewer interviewing these people. They were
I think
handicapped
I,
people, right? And
yeah,
the one guy started to talk, and he had a very high, whiny voice.
yeah,
And I mean, come on, I would have left if I was in that position, but I think I
yeah,
might have been able to control myself after the initial laughter, but he just lost it. I mean, he just,
yeah,
every time the guy opened his mouth, he would just laugh that much more. And yes, it happens. I mean, it's something that I can tell you don't mean to, but I think it's part of the stress that we
yeah.
were talking about too, that, it's that stress relief at that point. and you just can't control it at that point. So, so we know laughter is a powerful tool for improving mental well-being, offering numerous short-term and long-term benefits. So let's ask it, what are some of the short-term benefits of laughter?
So immediate mood boost, muscle relaxation, increased circulation of blood flow, enhanced social bonding. Some of the long-term benefits are greater pain tolerance. If I'm able to laugh things off, I can tolerate more pain, um, improve interpersonal relationships, protection against burnout. It's really uh, I've heard lots of interesting theories on laughter, as far as where it comes from or why. And one of the most interesting ones I've heard is that it's like a primal scream, kind of that evolved from. But it's something that is important for some reason, and obviously in my work as a therapist, I can see all the ways it's important, all the ways it can help and hurt. But that's something I really, if anybody knows some interesting theories on what laughter is, put them in the comments because I want to know.
Well, that might explain Santiago Cirillo
Yeah.
sometimes there too, okay? That's just his way of laughing too. So how about the long-term benefits?
Reduced risk of cardiovascular issues, increased resilience to stress, improved interpersonal relationships. Basically it's if you're able to laugh about things, it helps you to keep a positive outlook, and that's important. Laughter can help instill hope and things that are really crucial in daily life.
So how important is humor in building resilience after trauma or personal loss?
I think it's one of the key ingredients, and I say that because it's especially if you're talking about like a trauma bond, or things of that nature. I mean, if you can't laugh with the people around you about what's going on, or if you can't, laughter is a way to share a little hint of joy, in the midst of total chaos or a bad situation. So yeah.
I mean, I've been told many a time that laughter is inappropriate right now. But yeah, but it was
Yeah.
funny. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
can't help
man, that
it.
makes it funnier. A lot of times inappropriate. That's what's funny about inappropriate laughter is it's inappropriate, sometimes.
At my mom's viewing, they had a Catholic priest that came to the prayers and stuff, and they sent over this missionary priest. Really nice gentleman, nice priest. He couldn't speak English very well. And he came and sat down in front of the room, said, "We're going to do the prayers now." So I'm sitting in the very front row. Obviously, it's my mom, my brother, my father, Jen. And behind me are my cousins, okay, which is a huge mistake to have them anywhere near me. And this priest started, and nobody could understand the word he was saying. So instantly I was biting my tongue. Okay, because it's like if I inflict pain on myself, the smile won't come out of my lips. And I was fine up until I started hearing coming behind me from my cousins who had their heads in their hands and were laughing. And then I was crying. I mean, I still had the straight face, but there were tears coming out of my eyes because it was just, again, you're at a funeral. It's my mom's funeral. We shouldn't be laughing here, but it was just something that was really, really funny. And, I take things very lightly, even funerals. So
Yeah.
the
And
laughter
if you
is,
look at that context, I mean, that's a perfect example. Honestly, it's a funeral, like it's sad. Everybody's there to grieve, obviously, but a little bit of humor, lightens the mood a little bit or gives us a little bit of relief. I mean, and that's really important.
I mean, even ministers probably do that on their daily sermons, weekly sermons in church.
Yeah.
I've had many of them start with a little bit of a joke. And again, it just lightens everybody up. And, you're not being disrespectful. You're just, relaxing. And, I enjoy laughter at any
What
time.
what one of my favorite, like just something I've always remembered. There's a guy in anybody in Indiana. His name was Dan Crow. He's the founder of ICATA, so the Indiana Counselors Association on Addiction and Drug Abuse. And I'll never forget the last time I saw Dan speak at an event. He got up there, and I'll never forget the first words out of his mouth, and everybody just died laughing as he said, "I'm Dan Crow. Now I'm old as dirt." And then he just went into everything. But I've always remembered that, and I thought that was really funny. Like he got my attention. So even even him being able to poke fun at himself, it got everyone's attention. It lightened the mood, and it set him up to it made it easier to get into something serious.
I think conversations are so much easier with a little bit of, humor in it.
Yeah.
It lightens everything up for it. And, there are many ways to incorporate more laughter into your life. Okay, read joke books. Okay, comic strips or satirical stories. Watch funny movies, TV shows, or online videos. Heck, my wife will tell me I sit up to like sometimes 12, 1 o'clock watching stuff that makes me laugh. Even, silly stuff. Like there's that guy in Australia, Shami. Okay, and he has all these little videos. They do all these stupid things. Yeah, sometimes I'm even laughing and saying, "No, that's really stupid," but I'm still laughing and still watching it. So I'm laughing at myself actually for sitting here watching stuff that's there. Seek out, spend time with funny and playful people. I don't surround myself with, naysayers. I try to, if I go out, I want to have a good time. I want to laugh, and my friends know they go to dinner with me. Anything's on the table. I mean, not just food. Anything is going to be on the table. Share jokes, funny stories with family and friends. As Jason our guest will tell you in a few minutes, attend comedy shows. And I guess I looked this up last night, laughter yoga classes.
That's interesting. I haven't
There's
heard of
videos on that. Look that up.
Okay.
It's something that really strange, but I don't mean it in a bad way strange. It's just different is probably what I should say. Cultivate a playful attitude. Practicing simulated laughter can help reduce mental and physical health benefits, like we said. Just sit there, and if you think your day really sucks in plain English, just give yourself a little bit of a laugh and at least brighten up the day a little bit.
Yeah.
I find myself, as an example, if I'm on the phone with someone and we were just talking about a situation I had, and I'm getting really, really upset, I try to break into a joke a little bit.
Yeah.
It calms me down, and it calms the person on the other end of the phone down a little bit, just because I know it's getting too serious. And when things get serious, I don't want to explode. So it's my way of releasing that. Now, this is probably a perfect place for us to introduce a very special guest to our show. So let's go forward to that clip.
I took my wife to the beach for a picnic. I thought that would be a romantic gesture. Y'all ever tried to picnic at the beach? The seagulls come at you like you owe them money and they're just recognizing you. They start circling around you. And then they started to get close, right? They get a little aggressive. And I gave him my back. You give him a message, and he calls for backup. Now there are 12 of them. Napkins are blowing by. Alfred Hitchcock walks by. Someone explain that to the kids. And then one of them lands on the table. Right? Yeah. No. So I didn't hit him, princess. I just, I shoot him. Totally overreacts. Like I'm beating him or something. Like a soccer player trying to catch a call in the box. And there was a lady at the next table from Orange County, Karen, who was with her 2 kids, and she thought this would be a teaching moment And she goes, "That poor creature didn't know any better."
I'm like, are you kidding me?
And my wife's like, "I don't even know him. He was here when I sat down." And her kids are looking at me like I'm a monster. And then I noticed that they were eating Chick-fil-A. Like their bird had it coming. My bird lived. Barely. Oh, and then there was that one seagull, and I felt sorry for him. He just stands there, he has one leg, bloodshot eyes, and so I flicked him a potato chip, his other leg popped out. Got punked by a seagull. They're all the same.
Well, tonight we have a very special guest who will bring a smile to our faces. Our guest is Jason Love. Jason Love is a nationally touring headliner who has appeared on HBO, Comedy Central, America's Got Talent, and 2 different dry bar specials. His clips are played daily on Sirius XM. He's a crowd favorite on cruise ships, which my wife Jennifer and I can personally vouch for. LA Weekly named Jason Love one of the top 10 comics to watch. Now, each year, Jason produces hundreds of shows, including the Big Bear Comedy Festival, the San Diego Fair, and IPIC theaters across the country. Now, Jason's nonprofit Love and Laughter provides free comedy shows to cancer support communities throughout the country. This signifies both Jason Love's commitment to giving back through comedy and the type of enjoyable, lighthearted entertainment he provides. Now, Jason at one time used to be a cartoonist for the Denver Post, the Arizona Republic, the St. Petersburg Times, Journal News, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and the Tampa Bay Times. He's also the author of the book Snapshots, the cartoon, and so it goes, stories for people who laugh. He was on The Last Comic Standing, was in HBO's Luck with Dustin Hoffman, has a few CDs out, and one time even married a couple on a pier in Tahoe while playing guitar. We are so honored that he would take a few minutes out of his extremely busy schedule to join us here tonight on the show. Now, one thing before we bring Jason on, many of you may not know this, but the last incarnation of the Your Life Matters show, Jason was scheduled to be the next guest on the show. I had so much I wanted to talk to him about, and then the lung disease reared its evil head really badly and took me out of the podcasting arena for a while. In fact, I went back and watched a video of that, and I almost had no voice. But I'm so glad that he's back with us now. All right, everybody, we want to welcome Jason Love to our show this evening. Jason, thank you for joining us today. And he's coming to us from out in the
thanks for having me, Steve.
Bermuda somewhere. He's on his way to Puerto Rico, but it's for work. God, your job must be so tough. Let me tell you, traveling around the Bahamas, the Bermuda.
Depends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, I'm not out there parasailing, Steve. I'm kind of working.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I know your work is really hard, but it's also fun. You get to enjoy and communicate with the audience. And that's really what our show's about today, with laughter and the mental effects of laughter. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and really what drew you into comedy.
Well, I mean, you don't go into comedy because you had a great childhood. My parents did their best. I'm not blaming them, but it's I think I was like a hypersensitive kid, and no matter what they did, I was going to be crushed by it, So it took a long time to get out from under the tyranny of my own mind.
So did you start doing the cartoons first, or did you go right into comedy?
The cartoons were a way of kind of cowardly hiding behind what I really wanted to do, which was stand-up comedy. But instead of getting out there and becoming who I really am, which is kind of like the process, I did the punchlines as cartoons, and that was rewarding also. I did that for years. I must have created 2,000 of them. They're still out there in syndication. I still make money from those.
Well, I mean, all the work that you've done, and I'm not just saying because you're on the show, but when we were talking about doing the show, instantaneously I said, I need to contact Jason again. Okay, because Jason is perfect for this. My wife and I enjoyed, I think we probably saw your show 2 or 3 times when we were on the boat. Okay, we'd stay even for the
Uh,
PM show, the later show too, for which I
a
find
much
funny,
different
but
bag.
that's yeah, but I find that one better, but we are a family show here today. So I mean, you got to hear from fans and people that have attended your shows and talk about how it's helped them emotionally or mentally.
Yeah, especially, once in a while I'll have somebody come up and say something that really hits me. I forget a lot of but that's like my service and my work in the world is to make people laugh. So I don't really think about it much because I wake up every day that very focused. But then a woman came up not that long ago and told me that she hadn't laughed since her husband died 6 months ago. That was the first time she had laughed, and she was crying. And then that all me really hard about the power of laughter. And they say that laughter is the shortest distance between two people. It's a quote from Victor Borge, I believe, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think when we do get out from under the tyranny of our mind, as I was saying, I feel like laughter is the um, indication.
Our entire show so far has been about how it releases anxiety and stress. It just puts you in a completely different mind frame, where you're relaxed and you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself around people. And that's what's so important.
Yeah, it's a way of being
Um,
in the world, really.
Now, a few weeks ago, we did a show on relationships. Um, Now, I know you've been happily married to your wife, Patty, for quite some time now. So, how do you manage your relationship when you're on the road or the water, in your case, so many weeks at a time?
Yeah, that's an ongoing thing. By the way, as I'm going, my internet keeps saying, or the Zoom keeps saying, your connection is unstable. So
Well, we
even our
we we
connection's
sort of got
unstable,
used to
Steve.
that before. We when Dr. Davis used to have that problem to where
Uh,
his mic, so our listeners are sort of used to that.
yeah,
But
okay, good.
understand he's out somewhere, as I said, in the Bermuda waters. Yeah, he's probably that Bermuda Triangle he's passing right now, and his signal's
It's a
going
mi-
out in 4 places.
it's really a miracle we're able to do this at all when you think about it.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it's I love my wife profoundly, and I'm a real romantic at heart. I majored in English because of from Shakespeare all the way on up. So it's been real challenging to find joy on my own when I have just a perfect playmate at home, like somebody that I literally frolic in the meadows with when I come home. And so I feel like I'm caught in a taffy machine where when I leave her, it rips me apart. But when I'm not doing comedy, it rips me apart. And I've just had to come to peace with all of it. That's life. And I don't want to say surrender, or maybe it's more like letting go, or a radical acceptance, I guess would be the best term for it. But I do make sure to treat her right and let her know every day how much I love her. But if something were to happen to her, that would be once in a while. I'm like a toddler who looks around and notices there's no one around, and I freak out. That's what it's like.
And it has to be tough on her too, not having you around,
Yeah,
waking up next to you and stuff.
that's you
I
know
know
what
we talked a little
you
about
put your
that at that airport that time too,
hmm
because we
you put
were
your
in
finger
what,
on it, Steve,
Canada.
because yeah, when she's with family and I know she's happy and she's having fun, my heart lightens up. So it has a lot to do with that. I want her to always be full and work on all the things that uplift her, and that makes it all much easier. You're totally right.
Now, during COVID, you popped back up in my mailbox out of no place when I was living in Indiana with your live comedy in your living room that you were doing. How
Yeah.
did that all come about?
Wow, that was just necessity, Stephen. Well, comics have to
He knows watching, he froze a little bit here, and I'm sure it's going to open back up in a second. So I will tell you this much, is that I've been on a cruise ship and internet is not the best that it can be. So hopefully it will unfreeze in a second. And through the magic of editing, he'll be back. 1, 2, 3.
During COVID, I just saw the need to create a little campfire, not just for the comedians, but for all of the comedy fans and aficionados out there who kind of rely on it to an extent, I guess. And we got up to 4,000 people on one show at one point. That's how many, that's kind of,
And for that matter, it's kind of important for the comedians as well as earning some kind of money during that period of time.
yeah. And it was the thing that really inspired me, Stephen, is how much people donated and the tips and the generosity during that really crazy, weird, surreal time. It really inspired me. People are good.
Well, people enjoy comics. Okay. They enjoy, people always ask me what I watch at night on TV. I tell them I play around on YouTube and I find something that makes me laugh. I mean, really, that's all I'm interested in. It's something that makes me laugh
Yeah.
every night. You know, then my wife comes in and then she laughs. No.
Yeah. My
Okay.
wife, her dad, wife, her dad passed when my wife was 20 years old. And that last week, they spent the whole time watching episodes of I Love Lucy together. And that's how she remembers her dad now, as all that laughter on the couch, and it kind of made it all somehow better.
It Laughing makes things a little easier. We even talked earlier in the show about people that even laugh at a funeral. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
certain things just strike you and you start to laugh at things. And I think, again, that's a way of breaking that stress and that anxiety that you're having
yeah.
there. It's a release for all of that. Now, let me ask you, I'm sure there's been moments you've been on stage that haven't gone too well. Okay, we've all been, heck, even with the show, okay? I've had some iterations of the show that haven't gone great when they first started there. But what did that moment teach you about vulnerability or mental resilience?
Well, funny you should mention this, Steve, because on the ship that I'm on right now, it's not really my demographic. It's not in my wheelhouse, but we go up there to be we give our all no matter what. And I had to the theater show. It was like the 11 o'clock theater show, first night of the cruise for them. And they just were not giving it up. I mean, to the point where it's almost like I was being punked. And in that moment in the theater, like that's the big show that everybody watches. There are probably 500 people there. I had to really hang in the pocket and just be completely myself anyway and love myself and be confident in myself and know that I belong and know that I'm funny. Even you guys aren't laughing. I know you're just missing out. And by the end, I got them. I just from the relentlessness of my unflappability, but that took all 16 years of me doing this to have that. Because if you shrink at all, that's when you're bombing. Otherwise, it was just a show that was kind of flat. But that being said, Steve, it was still hard to sleep. We don't kill so that we can for the money. We kill so we can sleep at night. But so the next night, which was last night, I went out to the late night show and I didn't even my camera. I normally record everything so I can look at it, but they were so nasty the night before that I didn't even, I went out there with a kind of real devil may care kind of attitude, and it was maybe the best show of the year. I mean, just people up in their chairs and the whole thing, just the place was off the chain. So
You never
whatever that
know.
is, maybe the universe was just saying they're there. Yeah. And I'm the same guy, and I was giving it the same energy, different setting, but you know, it,
Well, either that
it's you have to
or
have real thick skin.
somebody up there
Mhm.
wanted to give you a good story to tell us on the show today. When I
Yeah,
answered the
it's
story.
really, but yeah, to your point. All right, I'm back.
Now, Jason, if you could say one thing to someone struggling right now who hasn't laughed in a long time, besides look you up at jasonlove.com and watch some really funny videos, what would you tell them?
Yeah, there's a tough question, Steve. Come on now. How much time do you have? I mean, I've been on the ledge. I certainly understand that thing, the gripping, almost like being alone in a real universal sense and just profoundly lost in space, depression and anxiety and all of that. And and I guess there's so much to it, but just that our power to get out from under that is so much greater than you can imagine. Like our like it's like we're toddlers in Ferraris. If we have if we're powerful enough to feel that bad, we're powerful enough to feel that good. Like our potential for well-being is like the machine that you're working with is that powerful for well-being as well. It's just we get kind of contaminated by this like consciousness, this like epidemic illness of consciousness, and it's not just negativity. It's not that simple. Just our worldviews and core beliefs are kind of poisoned, and you could get it from anybody. You can get it from your family or from the television or from church and politics. But if you can get free from all of that and really, and then here you get into all the lofty, airy fairy stuff, if you can really follow your bliss and you get clarity and purpose and do things every day to not just laugh and feel good, but to really just be on purpose for you. Like you decide your own meaning of life, and then just really stick to that. And then if you're lucky enough, like you and I, to have a good spouse on top, or a good friend, or a good dog, just to keep loving and be fiercely yourself. I really feel like everyone, no matter how desperate you seem right now, has the potential for this kind of well-being, because that's the thing that I lacked for most of my life, just any sense of well-being. I lived in fear, like a low-grade panic attack that went on for decades. And now
Yeah,
I'm not here to say that I'm on top of the mountain and I'm giving a sermon or something, but um I I'm very grateful now.
see, that's the whole purpose of the show and why it's titled Your Life Matters, is because we need to bear down on ourselves and what really matters with our life. Politics, all that stuff, we get too distracted from what the importance of life is. And like you say, once you release all of that, your life changes so much. And we've always said we don't do the show to make money. I'm retired. I don't have to do it anymore. Dr. Davis is
Yeah,
still a busy
yeah,
psychotherapist. He doesn't have to worry about that. But we try to help, and we always say if we can help just one person each episode, then it's worth it. And that's probably some of the
yeah.
best advice I've heard one of our guests tell people in a long time is just you
Oh,
can change yourself. You have that power inside of you to
man.
change yourself. Now, Jason, the last question I'm going to ask you because I know you have to go, and God knows how long the internet will let you speak again before that. What do we hold for the future of Jason Love comedy? I mean, what lies ahead?
Oh, well, if you want to find me, I'm at jasonlove.com.
Mhm.
And I'm happy, Steve. Like the people go, have you caught any breaks? Are you had any success? And I'm like, I wake up every day and I do the thing that I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. And every day I have the opportunity to get better at it and get immediate feedback. I've got my hands on the clay. I'm making people laugh. I I don't need anything more, but if I were, I'm happy for all great things that will come. So I'm open to all the possibilities, so long as it's stand up. I also run a lot of shows back home. I produce a lot of shows, and that's real gratifying for me. But I don't have to be in a movie to feel successful or even be recognized by people.
Well, you did 2 episodes, did you, of the Dry Bar comedy, which is
Yeah,
grown
I've
into
got two dry
something
bar
really big
specials.
now. Yeah, those,
Yeah, they're
I've
their
actually
own
watched
entity.
those. Yeah, they literally are. That's growing everywhere. No matter where you look on the internet, there's always clips from all of that. And I think we actually even one or two of the clips we're running too are from
Yeah.
that as well. So, Jason, listen, I truly thank you for taking the
Yeah.
time being with us today. Truly wish you plenty of success. What I will tell people is if you're on a cruise ship and like Carnival, any of those, and you see Jason's name, make sure you're there and make sure you're there for both shows. Okay, it even surprise them. Come up to them after the show and say, I saw you on the Your Life Matters Show podcast. You were great, and trust me. And we don't give personal recommendations to people too often, but I can tell you, I had so much fun at the shows. I had so much fun at the airport afterwards because I was like, all
Yeah.
right, it's time to make you laugh a little bit. And
Yeah. Messing with me.
yes, like, well, exactly. I can still to this very day remember your face when you were like starting to look around and like we would just like had our heads down. And
Yeah,
so,
that was
but
funny.
listen, Jason, thank you for joining us and truly wish you plenty of success in the future.
Well, thanks, and thanks for what you're doing, Steve. I'm glad to play a little part in it.
Well, we're glad you have. Thank you. Okay, so we really hope you guys enjoyed that clip there of Jason. Jason is a phenomenal person. He really, really is. If you see him playing someplace, you see him on TV, just even go to YouTube and Google his name and you'll see a ton of clips. Or like we've always said, go to his website too. So, Dr. Davis, what would you say to someone who comes into your practice who feels like they've forgotten how to laugh because of what they're going through? What would you tell them?
I would, start by normalizing that feeling. I think that we all go through experience of that, of that kind where we just, either feel hopeless or, there have been times in my own life when it's like, something really bad will be happening. And I'll think, do I even know how to experience joy anymore? And the answer is yeah. I'm just a little more out of touch than, I typically would be or something. So I think it's normal to feel that way, but you know, we all can laugh and it's
I think
important.
you really have to. I know as examples for myself, even my wife, who's taking her finals, becoming an RN here, and she sits inside her office in there for like 8, 9 hours at a
Yeah.
time studying. You actually put a bed there, she falls asleep studying and in there because of that. But like she came to me the other night, or she came out for something. I said, "Hey, let's go out and eat." She's like, "Well, I got to study." I was like, "And the books will be there when you come back.
Yeah.
Take a break." And she's okay. And, we got dressed and we went down to the Italian place. We had some dinner. Probably only gone about a half hour, but we laughed and joked about a lot of things that were going on. And she came back, and I'm sure she was able to approach it with a much better attitude than, oh, good Lord, I got like 5 books left I have to read through, and by
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
And that type of deal. So it helps a lot. I mean, she's going through reviews, she's still going to classes, and she's been doing job interviews, and it's tough for people. You have to every once in a while just let go. And
Yeah.
I do it for me, having to deal with her. And I don't mean that in the wrong sense, folks. But sometimes having to deal with the stress from that, I like to laugh.
Yeah.
I put on my earbuds or my headphones and I sit and laugh. That's what I do. It's perfect for me. So, last question, I guess. Do you think society undervalues laughter as part of mental wellness? Because before we thought about this came from something from the show on schizophrenia that we talked about laughter.
Yeah.
I never thought about laughter as being something that's really helpful for mental wellness.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's undervalued. There are definitely, more areas of mental health that are probably looking, at the medical benefits of laughter and, and how to integrate it into treatment or therapy. But I really do think that one of the best things, one of the best favors you can ever do yourself if you're going through a hard time is try to find some humor in something. Try to find the humor, try to laugh, because the reality is we all go through rough times, and it's going to be okay.
We all know someone who's sick in the hospital. I know whenever I went to visit, I'd make the people laugh. Even if it wasn't like a life or death type of deal and they were just in there for something, I mean, they would remember Steve was there before Steve left, because Steve would just sit there and the brain would be going constantly. And I'd be thinking of some way to break the people up into laughter and just to make the visit that much more enjoyable. I mean, I've been places where people, in hospice and they're on their last, like that place is so serious to be in. And
Yeah.
not me. I understand the severity of everything, but I think, as I said to my wife Jen the other day, I said, you know what? I said probably the last words out of my mouth are going to be some kind of a joke. that you're going to remember will be something like, hey, now you don't have to worry about the TV being on the 2 hour, the 2 a.m. in the morning anymore. Right before I die. I mean, that's probably something that's going to come out of my mouth. So as we end today's episode, I hope we're all reminded of something really simple. And yet it's very profound. Laughter is more than just a reaction. It's a remedy. In a world that's often filled with heavy stuff, politics, you were talking about a patient you're dealing with, all that heavy stuff, laughter can actually lift us up a little bit. It's going to release that tension. It rewires our brains for joy, and it brings us closer to each other. Now, it doesn't have to ease life's path, but it gives us moments of light in the darkness, moments that remind us that we're still human, still connected, still alive. Now, Dr. Davis and I would truly like to thank the amazing Jason Love for taking the time out of his very busy schedule and joining us this evening. Trust me, you have no idea how hard it is to pin Jason down. He wanted to do it, but getting dates and stuff, even like today's show, when he was on a cruise ship, and he did this from a cruise ship. That's dedication. What his schedule is like. Yeah, I mean, it really is. And he would do like 2 or 3 shows a night on the cruise ships. And like you see on here, he's very clean. He can do a very clean show. He also has a little dirtier one that he does for adults, like around 11, 12 o'clock at night. And those are just as funny. Trust me. I've been to both of them on there. So thank you, Jason, for joining us. As I say, you have time to catch him, I highly recommend you do so. Okay. Remember, you can visit his website at jasonlove.com too. So whether you laughed with friends today, smiled at a silly meme on social media, or found yourself chuckling at life's absurdities, those little moments matter. They heal, they recharge, and they protect our mental health in so many ways where, like Dr. David said, we're only really beginning to understand. And if you've been struggling lately, if joy feels distant from us, it's different, but it is distant. Please remember you're not alone. There is hope, there's help, and sometimes it starts with a single laugh. Now, please, we ask you don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who might need to hear it. It only takes a moment, and it really, really helps the channel. And remember, you can visit our website at yourlifematterspodcast.com for more information about the show and ways to contact us if needed. And of course, in the description of this, you'll find Jason Love's stuff as well, Dr. Davis's website, and, you've already seen the commercial, so, we can find out more information about his practice that's there.
We are accepting new clients right now, if anyone's interested.
And it will be worth it, as you see on the show. It's worth speaking with them. I mean, you've seen both Dr. Aaron Davis and you've seen Eric Davis. So you know exactly what you're in for. Now, we hope you truly will join us again next week on the Your Life Matters Show podcast, where we'll continue exploring the stories and strategies that help us live with more purpose, more clarity, and compassion. And remember, on this podcast, we don't just talk about mental health. We celebrate the strength it takes to face it. Because remember, your story matters, your struggle matters, and above all, your life matters. So until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, take care of your mind, protect your peace, and remember, your story matters and your life matters. God bless you all, and we hope to see you again next week. And on the way out, we're going to give you Jason one more time.
I'm not big with needles in the first place, and this needle entered the room before he did. I go, you have my attention. And he goes, you're just going to feel a little pinch. Liar. I lost feeling from here up. I can't feel my face when I'm with you. And the whole time, the assistant is like waterboarding me. Tell me your secrets. I haven't flossed since the last time you did it. And then I went to swallow, and this is where it got bad. Like, the Novocaine closed up my throat, and then the epinephrine was working my heart, and the last thing I remember was grabbing chest hair. She was pissed. I am married to a woman, in case you made a bet. You're definitely down, bro. $20 here. Yeah, her name's Pat. She lives in Canada. You don't know her. My dad was a football player and a mechanic, so imagine his delight. I don't know what's happening up here. I look like a failed youth pastor or a Backstreet Boy who doesn't know it's over. What's happening? So we're married. We have married people in the house. How long you guys been married? 30 years. And it's a look at it. You're still touching. It's a happy 30. Sometimes people have been married 30 years, but they've been ticked off for 28. But not you, man. That's good. Yeah, you guys we get along pretty well. We get along well. The only, I don't know. You know what I keep getting in trouble with is the using the voice dictation. Like I'll dictate and then I won't. You got to give it a proofread. Take a minute at the end, give it a little proofread. My wife asked where I was, and I go, I'm on La Cienega. My phone changed it to, I'm on Last Booty Call. Yeah, it wasn't my first one. I was wrapping them up. I sent her another one, morning, chickadee. Morning, chubby. Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry. I did your sister. What's happening? Out of control, man. You know, the only time we play fight a lot, but it's never real. The only time it's real is around the temperature in the house. We can't get on the same page. And Alexa, she's caught in the middle of the whole thing. Like, Alexa, put it back to 70 degrees. My wife's like, don't you do that, Alexa. Looking for marriage counselors in your area.
Thank you for joining us for this week's new episode of the Your Life Matters Show podcast. Please be sure to join us again next week for another great episode with your host Steve Hodgson and psychotherapist Dr. Eric L. Davis. Please remember to subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode. Your help with this helps us reach a wider audience that may need our help. Remember, no matter where you are in your journey, you are valuable and important. Take time to cherish yourself and those around you. Never forget, your life matters.